Okay. We are going to be doing a little cartoon watercolor. So you're gonna wanna get your reference. You can print it out. My printer is making streaky lines, so I'm using my extra phone. You might wanna edit it and make it the proportion of what we're going to be painting. We're gonna be painting on one of these kind of 4x6 postcards. Here, double boomerang. Done. When you're working in watercolor, tape it down to a harder surface. The blue masking tape can act like a little margin, creating a nice white. This is scrap to allow me to test out my colors. You also might want to get a hair dryer. I'm gonna recommend you grab 2 waters. I like to have 1 water for cleaning my brush and 1 water in between mixing my colors. I've been using the same watercolor since high school. Now when you're painting, you're gonna wanna have really nice brushes. That's why I have brushes I use for acrylic, which are allowed to get destroyed, and I have brushes I use for watercolor, okay? You can see my watercolor brushes. They stay in much better shape. I'm pretty sure that was the exact same brush not too long ago, yeah? Look at that, look at what a couple of acrylic paintings does to a brush. Today. I need to have a brush for big areas and a brush for small areas. Get my reference out. There. And when you're sketching, you're gonna wanna sketch really kind of lightly. All right, let's start. I'm probably gonna start with the hair, and I'm gonna make a light gray. Probably should go into time-lapse mode. Okay, I'm taking this off time lapse because I want to show you guys something a little bit different. So I like cartoons, and I'm totally going to put line work over this and pull it all together because I haven't watercolored in a long time, and you can kind of see I'm rushing things and I'm not doing things as slowly as I should, so I'm having bleeding. So you're going to want to have very clean water when you do this, but if you need to lift up color, this is what you do. Let's say I have color here I don't want. I get it wet and I am pressing into, I'm getting the pigment to get into the water, which is sitting on top, and then I'm gonna suck it up. So I gave you guys like a lot of napkins and stuff. The wet wipes are gonna help get acrylic out of things, all right? And then I can suck it up and the pigment is gonna go into my paper. And you can only kind of get so much pigment out of your paper, but you really can kind of save areas that you have kind of mucked up. A little bit of gray, that bled where I didn't want it. And so I want to try to fix this little bit right here. Look at that, fixed it. And I'm gonna go in with line work and make all that pretty after the fact. So the big thing I want you guys to think about is when do you do wet on wet and when do you do wet on dry? All right, wet on wet is how you make atmospheric kinds of smushy things. Wet on dry is how you build up layers to get the detail that I know you guys all love and crave. If you haven't seen Howl's Moving Castle, you really should. It's an amazing movie. All right, but the reason I took this off time lapse is the following. I'm gonna be doing ink work. Your ink is gonna get wet. This is Sharpie. This is fine line Sharpie. This is a Stabilo pen, Fudenosuke pen. So here's what I want you to see. When you're watercoloring, does it bleed? If you get Sharpie wet, fine line Sharpie, oh, the Stabilo pen's gonna bleed, and the Fudenosuke, not so much. So, test out your pens and see if they're gonna bleed. The Fudenosuke makes no bleeding whatsoever. The Sharpie is okay, the fine line Sharpie's okay, but the Stabilo pen made a mess. Find out what pens you have which are water soluble or not. I'm still waiting for this to dry. I gotta kind of go back and do some more patchwork up there, but I wanna kind of finish this up. As soon as you add black marks, it's gonna firm things up. If you want it to feel gentle, you can do your outlines in a color. As soon as you add like line work, really cartoony. But you're gonna see that I'm gonna try to fix my drawing a little bit. And I waited till it was totally dry to even attempt this. If you want to add line work, guys, you're gonna want to have your line work when it is totally dry, and I'm gonna recommend you do this at the end. Do not do your line work at the beginning. See, as soon as I added my line work, I lost a lot of that really gentle watercolor stuff. But I was able to hide mistakes as well. So it's kind of a push and pulling about how you want to go about it. I think if I add some little dots here and there, I can make it feel okay. The face was much better before I added the line work. Not bad. I'm gonna take off the outside edge and kind of show you what that looks like too. If you had a white Posca, you can go in with white Posca as well. You ready for it? Bam! Oh, isn't that super pretty? Oh, that makes me so happy. I love it.